Hello everybody, this is Ben with UpDoc, and today we are very excited to share the release of the 2022 Job Market Pulse report. For this edition of the report, we're focusing primarily on the data from 2020 and year-to-date to 2022. And we're also doing some cool things with some of the legacy data that we've been collecting since 2015. Because we have this breadth of data, and also because of the disruption in the job market due to the pandemic outbreak in 2020, we wanted to create kind of a dual lens look at what the job market looks like now. There's some cool ratio calculations that we've been able to create to really give a stronger confidence interval estimate of what a rehab therapist, say a physical therapist, is making, and what that drills down to for, say, a rehab therapist assistant like a PTA. Yes, occupational therapy is represented, but we need more of our colleagues in OT and our CODAs, of course, to drop their information in to create a grander report because of the next thing we were able to create due to a 3-year rolling average. For the first time, we're able to compare a 3-year rolling average of physical therapy pay against cost of living updates here now in 2022. And we're able to trend that against a state-by-state comparison inclusive of Washington, D.C. There's an entire infographic breakdown as well as a massive chart that also drills down into where you're located, what the average pay is it above or maybe below average, and then what the cost of living is in that state, is it above or below average, giving you kind of a 2x2 grid breakdown. Now, of course, some of these states fall within a very tiny range that's rather close to the national average, but we felt that it was important to share where that state was leaning in any one of these 4 corners. There's also a huge discussion about talent acquisition and retention that leans back into the report releases that we did earlier this year, the practice management report, and of course the talent acquisition and retention report for 2022. There's some important norms that we were able to update for pay by setting as well as just by the general position. It does include management and residents. Now, what we need more than anything else is more input. We want to be able to grow the pulse and progress this movement of wage transparency so that both the workforce employee candidate as well as the employer organization can find fair metrics and be able to positively move the job market forward. And this is really important because of a new trend we discovered this year that probably is a fallout of the 2020 disruption. We'll touch on this briefly right now. And the trend, the emerging trend that we're seeing that's rather alarming is the standard deviation. Now, the standard deviation, as you recall in statistics, is where 68% of any population distribution falls across the average. So when you get that average is plus or minus, 68% of people fall within that. That range in at least rehab therapy typically resided somewhere between 15 and 22%, more recently 18 to 22%. However, for the first time, we are seeing standard deviations that are broaching into the 30th percentiles. The fallout and the downstream repercussions of this is massive, and we're still not quite sure if this is because of reimbursement disruption or if this is just because of the volatility of the job market itself amidst the Great Resignation. Either way, we talk a lot about this in the report and reference the Talent Acquisition and Retention Report 2022 amidst it. And while we still need to process and gather more data to be able to confidently share if this is correlated with, say, reimbursement disruption or just a disruption of the job market due to the Great Resignation, what we do know is that there's some early trends suggesting that this really has more to do with a confidence interval between and across different settings. That because the reimbursement patterns there and there's so much shifting of clinicians between various specialties, what we're seeing really is kind of the cloud being tufted up. And what we want to encourage everybody to really look at is to take a look at some of these standard deviations as a guide rail and understand that the closer we can bring these guide rails together, the more of a stable job market we can have. As always, if you're interested in the raw and sorted data, which we do include the legacy data for this edition, you can find it at the very bottom of the report when you sign up with your email and you get it automatically for download. Be sure to also check out some of the sorted data. That's where we get most of our feedback from when you're taking a look specifically for your region, maybe the state, the zip code, the specialty, some experience factors, and you kind of go on a line-by-line comparison with whatever offer that you're looking at right now if you're perhaps an applicant, or if you're an employer, to see what maybe is the range of normal in your area so you can put a competitive offer on the table for your candidates. The final series release of this industry report series is going to be the Corporate Quality Index, and that covers employer experiences and the companies that you want to work with and for. Thank you for joining us, and thank you so much for those of you that have contributed and shared the Pulse over these years. It's because of your data entries to this open source data pool for job market information that we're able to create these kind of reports, trend them over time, and make it more of a live trend snapshot versus a retrospective look of what might have happened a couple years ago. This gives all of us much more current information to work on and compare and hopefully plan strategically for. So if you haven't already, please consider sharing the information that you have, what experiences that you've had through the Job Market Pulse itself. Please give this report a read. Let us know what you think. We really, really cherish your feedback, and I will see you at the next one.